Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever wondered about this secret life of everything you buy? Well, today we're pulling back that curtain. We're going to explore the hidden story behind literally every product on the shelf, from the day it's born to, its final farewell.
So let me kick things off with a question for you. What in the world does a car have in common with a can of soda, or a political campaign, or even a big idea like, say, family planning? I mean, they sound like they're from completely different universes, right? Well, from a marketer's point of view, they're pretty much the exact same thing.
And that's because they are all products. See, in the world of marketing, a product isn't just some physical thing you can hold. No, it's way broader than that. It's really anything that's designed to satisfy a need. That could be a service, like your bank, an event, like the Olympics, an organization, maybe a charity, and yep, even abstract ideas, like a campaign telling you to wear your seatbelt.
Okay, so this brings us to a really, really crucial point. When you buy something, you are buying so much more than just the thing.
The real identity of a product is this whole bundle of features, right? Some are tangible, some not so much. You've got the obvious stuff, the style, the color, the price tag, but you're also paying for the intangibles. Things like the brand name, the cool packaging, the promise of a warranty if something goes wrong. Heck, even the experience of buying it, the lighting in the store, how helpful the sales staff is, all of that stuff makes up what marketers call the whole product.
All right, now this is where things get super interesting because most companies aren't just managing one product. Oh no, they're managing entire families of them. Yeah, very few companies are just one-trick ponies, right? They manage what's called a product mix, which is basically a whole portfolio of related items. The best way to think about it is like a family tree. And for a perfect example of this, let's take a look at a giant like General Motors. Okay, I know this chart might look a little complicated at first glance, but stick with me because it gives us this fascinating peek inside the mind of a company like GM. This isn't just a random list of cars. This is a map of their entire strategy for the market. So let's break down what it all means. So every product mix has these three dimensions, and this is exactly how a company tries to capture every single type of customer out there. First up, you've got width. That's just the number of different types of products they sell. So for GM, that's cars, trucks, even RVs. Then there's length. That's all the different brands within a line, from an entry-level Chevy all the way up to a luxury Cadillac. It's like a ladder for customers to climb as their income grows. And finally, you have depth. That's the variety you find within each brand. So under the Chevrolet name, you could get a sporty Corvette or a big family-sized Caprice. See the goal? It's to have an answer for pretty much every need and every budget.
Okay, so managing that whole mix is one challenge, but giving each product a unique personality, that's the power of branding. And it's honestly one of the most critical decisions a company will ever make.
Now, companies usually go down one of two main paths here. On one hand, you've got family brands. Think Heinz. Everything they make, from ketchup to vinegar, has that Heinz name right on the front. The big pro? A single ad campaign helps sell everything, and when they launch something new, people instantly recognize it. The con, though, is pretty big. If one product gets a bad rap, it can poison the well for the entire family. Then, on the other side, you have companies like Procter & Gamble. They give each product its own individual brand. You know them, Tide, Crest, Pampers, they don't scream P&G. This lets them target specific audiences for each product. But man, is it expensive. You have to build every single one of those brands from the ground up.
All right, let's get to the heart of our story today. The epic journey that every single product takes, from birth all the way to death. It's a surprisingly predictable path, and it has 4 very distinct chapters. And this right here, this is the product life cycle curve. Think of it as the roadmap for that journey. Along the bottom, you have time passing, and on the vertical axis, you have sales and profits. And as you can see, every product moves through these 4 stages: introduction, growth, maturity, and, finally, decline. So every journey has to start somewhere, and for a product, that's the introduction stage. And let me tell you, this phase is tough. Sales are slow, they're just getting started. Costs for development and marketing are through the roof, and usually the company isn't making any profit at all. In fact, they're probably losing money. The one and only goal here is just to get the word out there and make people aware that you even exist. Now, if a product can survive that introduction phase, it enters the growth stage. And this is the fun part. Sales suddenly take off,
profits finally start rolling in and they climb fast. But of course, that kind of success gets noticed. Pretty soon, competitors start showing up to the party. So the company's focus has to shift from just shouting about the product to making sure it's available in as many places as possible.
After that big growth spurt comes maturity. And for most successful products, this is the longest phase of their life. Sales eventually hit their peak and then start to level off, maybe even slow down a little. The market is pretty much saturated at this point, and the competition is just intense. The whole game changes. It's not about rapid growth anymore. It's about defending your turf, often through price cuts and trying to find little ways to make your product stand out from the crowd. But, all good things must come to an end. Eventually, a product enters the decline stage. Sales and profits start a steady downward slide. The whole market might be shrinking because people's tastes have changed. At this point, the strategy shifts completely. It becomes all about one thing: minimizing costs and squeezing out any last bit of value that's left.
So that leads to the big question. When sales start to tank, what's a company supposed to do? This is where the really tough decisions get made. Do you pull the plug, or do you try to stage a big comeback? It's a really fascinating question, isn't it? Have you ever wondered why some old brands we grew up with make a huge comeback, while others that we loved are just gone, vanished forever? Well, it almost always comes down to a very deliberate, strategic choice. Okay, so if a company decides to fight for a product, they've got a few tricks up their sleeve. They can try repositioning it, basically changing its image to appeal to a whole new audience. They can try to find new uses for it. The classic example is Arm & Hammer baking soda, right? It went from a baking ingredient to a deodorizer for literally everything. Or they can give it a redesign, a fresh new package to catch your eye. Trying to revitalize an old favorite is often way, way cheaper and a lot less risky than trying to launch something brand new from scratch. But sometimes you just have to know when to say goodbye. A really common strategy is called harvesting. That's where you just stop all marketing, cut all the costs, and basically just collect the money from the few diehard fans who are still buying it. Or a company might license the product out, letting someone else take over. Or they plan what's called a graceful exit, slowly phasing it out, but making sure that existing customers can still get parts and service. It's all about ending the story with respect and not alienating the customers who stuck with you to the end. And this brings us to a really crucial, kind of surprising point. It might sound totally backward, but letting a weak product go can actually be one of the most profitable things a company can do. This quote from our source material says it all. Experience has shown that despite the sales drop resulting from the withdrawal of weak products, the company's profits have increased. It's about focus. By cutting the dead weight, you free up resources for your winners. Sometimes less really is more. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Think about a product that you really miss, something you used to love that just isn't around anymore. Now that you know about the life cycle, do you think it was just its time to go? Was it retired gracefully? Or do you think maybe with the right strategy, it could have been saved? Kind of changes how you look at those store shelves, doesn't it?